My name is Binu Arora. I'm Dinesh Arora.
My name is Sonakshi Arora.
Hi, my name is Karuna Sharma.
We are the team behind Indians in Melbourne.
My name is Binu Arora and I'm an engineer by background with double MBA from Columbia Business School and London Business School. I'm a cybersecurity professional for 15 years and now I'm in my own startup called Cyber. And I'm also the admin of the wonderful community Indians in Melbourne.
My name is Dinesh Arora. I work full-time as an IT consultant in Melbourne and I'm also the moderator of Indians in Melbourne group.
This group was formed in March 2011. I came to Australia in 2010. And when I was living over here, I was looking to find some new friends, trying to engage with the other Indian communities. And one thing which I really found, something was missing. I'm not able to see other people, other Indians. किसके साथ मैं cricket खेलने जाता हूँ. There were some very basic, things that I'm looking for. And I couldn't find the place really on Facebook. So on one evening, I decided that I should create one. And this is how Indians in Melbourne came to existence. But there were certain principles and guidelines, which I always wanted to, keep myself grounded to, such as it's a community to help, other Indians in the same group, right? But also give opportunity to other people to learn about Indian culture, it's such Bollywood, Indian food, Indian festivals. I wanted to make sure this group actually gives you all the different flavors about Indian community.
So, obviously when this group was started in 2011, that time I was in India because I joined him in 2017 when I got a job in Australia. So that time when he started as a group, he made me as an admin of as a moderator so that I can look for daily operations. People ask you some sort of things, what information we can post in the group. That time there was no review process. We wanted everyone to share whatever they feel because obviously they're away from India. We want them to share, what sort of issues they are having, if they're looking for something which they can't easily find in the city, how we as a group can help them. But initially it was working fine, but at the same time we thought, we probably need to grow this group because obviously back in those days, the community of India in Australia was still growing. It wasn't like, we have millions of people. It has grown a lot because a lot of people came not only in Melbourne, they traveled from Sydney, then they came to Melbourne. So obviously there was a lot of fluctuation coming up. And when you have a fluctuation coming up, the group also doesn't matter people coming from Melbourne, Sydney or Perth, they still want to be a part of that group. So they used to send the requested, but at the same time they were posting a lot of spamming as well. So obviously when spamming comes into the group, people start complaining, this group is not giving any value anymore because they post a lot of things which doesn't make any sense. So then one of the member who was the part of the group, he contacted me via messenger and they asked me, Dinesh, you probably need to sanitize a lot of those posts which doesn't make any sense. So at that time we thought, let's start reviewing all the posts. It might take some time, but it will give a real value to the group. And that's why it takes a lot of time to review all those posts. On a daily basis, I receive like at least 400 to 500 posts. And I can't approve all the posts because a lot of those probably gonna hurt somebody's feeling because obviously we want to make sure this group is not biased to anyone. They have to post their thoughts without demeaning anyone, any gender, any community or any race. And at the same time, there are still a lot of people who still ask me, Dinesh, you still post something which probably hurts someone, but the good thing you're open to anything because obviously this group is about discussing what's happening in Melbourne. We as an Indian community, what issues are we facing? Doesn't matter whether you're coming from North India, South India, West or East. The good thing is it's about Indians. So that's why it takes a lot of time for us to review the post. And when we approve it, we do get a lot of appreciation. We do get a lot of abuses from the member as well. We don't like this post, remove it because it's hurt our sentiments. And at the same time, I tell them, guys, this is the real issue. We are facing it on a daily basis. It doesn't matter whether you are, feeling hurt because of this thing. You need to look for the solution rather than looking for the problem.
My name is Sonakshi Arora. I work in KPMG as an IT consultant and I'm a moderator of Indians in Melbourne group.
And I think the day in life for Indians in Melbourne, and as you're asking how it works. So typically, I have my core team, which obviously you've met with Dinesh here. Obviously we have Sonakshi Arora, Karuna Sharma and Sanchit Khurana, who are the other moderators. They essentially focusing on maintaining the tempo and the harmony in the group by reviewing all the posts on a daily basis. And in certain cases, when there are exceptions, this is the process which we have built in since 2013, as Dinesh rightly pointed. If there's any exceptions, then we will just engage with the author of those posts or the person who is being impacted, and then we try to find not necessarily remediation, but try to create some sort of a bridge where at least the people can talk to each other and lead them to do as adults to deal with the issues. So we don't necessarily become a referee in this process. We don't want to be a referee. We just want to be a platform where we are giving opportunity to everyone to come and share their thoughts, ideas, point of views in a respectful manner. And that's a challenging process, but this is where the whole team gets together. So there's a lot of work that goes behind the scene, but end of the day, we do it because we believe in the cause and the principles which we are setting.
I usually see as a control where you actually allow only legitimate accounts to become a member of this group. Yeah. That's why we have set a questionnaire before you join the group where you talk about why you want to be part of this group.
Exactly.
Where do you live, and if you're gonna add other 30 people, make sure they are from Melbourne itself.
Yeah.
A lot of people usually create their account just a day before, and then I start asking myself, why they have just created their account a day before and why they want to be part of this group, and there is no original picture of their account. That actually tricks a lot of suspicious matter coming up from those accounts. So I usually reject their request. Yeah. But if they still contact me and saying they are in Melbourne and they actually want to be a part of the group because they are having some issue with the accommodation or something like that, they usually call with the messenger, and I usually take that call as well. So if they are able to come, give me assurance that they are a legitimate account, they need help from the group, then only we allow them to be a part of it.
So we have a strict screening policy for reviewing every post and every comment coming into the group. The way this is being set up is, any member of the group can obviously, post anything what they want to. Then we have our internal mechanisms or processes where we make sure that they are, aligned to the guidelines and principle, which is obviously available in the about, section of the.
It's already there in the group description that we have defined.
It's definitely there. So we have to make sure that the posts are not demeaning anybody. It's respectful. It's not creating, it's not creating panic or fake news sort of things. So we review that, and that generally happens as whatever posts which are coming in, it actually gets to all the admins / moderators. So everybody reviews it, and this is how we actually work in. But as I said to you earlier, I think in our soft conversation, we definitely have cycles, or seasonal aspect in the group where there's some festivals or some events are going on, and that point in time, a lot of good as well as junk, spam, or derogatory posts comes in, and that's where there's a surge. Then we look for help from external contractors who just come in for a specific period to just help us out in terms of cleaning the cutting the noise and making sure the group is still going towards the right direction, which is all about engagement.
I can probably give you a most recent example. So 2 days before, we were discussing about this coronavirus thing, which is happening. It has become a pandemic globally.
Yeah.
And Dino was telling me you're actually allowing a lot of information regarding coronavirus. It might create some panic in the community, which makes sense. Obviously, if I post something which gonna create some sort of panic in the community, that's people to understand that it's not for creating any panic situation. It's actually telling them this has become a real. You need to take up precautionary measures. And what has happened in last 2 days, I have got n number of messages from members. Dinesh, thanks for sharing information that this is what is happening in the Melbourne. Obviously, they work full time. They don't know what's happening. Either they usually see those things on the news channel or through our community. But obviously, we share a lot of information about this pandemic thing happening. Few members have taken as a positive. Few members have actually taken as a negative because they have started feeling panic. Dinesh, you are actually sharing something which has actually not been dealt as a big issue in Melbourne, but maybe it has become globally. But are we as a community ready to face those situations? So we usually tell the guys, this is something, it's real, you need to take a precautionary measure. If you go to Coles, you need to do these things. Don't do be in a take in a way you're gonna pack all those in the stocks. So if you see the community, if you see the group at this stage, you will see a lot of information about this virus. And it's actually more than that. You don't see about the accommodation stuff or the jobs. It's all about the virus because it is very much relevant at this stage. People should know what's happening, what precautionary measures they should be taking.
My name is Karuna Sharma. I am HR by profession and I work at National Australia Bank. I'm also the moderator of Indians in Melbourne group.
So my biggest contribution in the group or in the growth of Indians in our community is setting those principles which we can use to scale the group to the next level. And those principles often comes at a cost or challenges which we have to live with. But the fundamental point is when I go to my bed, and just try to take a nap or go to sleep, I want to go with a sense of accomplishment that we did something better for somebody.
And sometimes even members start abusing me on the messenger. Dinesh, why you're doing this? Just because you're running this group doesn't make any sense. You should share what we feel. Sharing is okay. Constructive criticism is still fine. But at the same time, when you start using abusive words, which we don't allow in the group, it's in our policy, then it actually becomes a lot of, issue for us to how to tackle those situations.
And if you want to be moderator or running such big groups, then you don't need to have just a thick skin. You need to have a crocodile skin because these things comes in volume. I mean, the naming, shaming, abusement, and all those things happen in volume. If you are a sensitive person, that's not the sort of a task you should be doing it. You will be having like a higher blood pressure every day because somebody just abuse you over there. So it requires certain skill set to be able to run it. It's not something anybody can do it. If I actually tell people, you think our jobs are easy to manage it? Come and try it yourself.
For me, the cost that I actually pay for this group is one is the time. I usually spend 3 hours a day, 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the afternoon, and 1 hour before I sleep. And apart from these timing, the most important thing which I usually take at a cost is embracing all those negativity which I get from members.
But we enjoy what you're doing, and we think there is a greater cause for which you are working towards, and we take the cost of us. Whether it's a personal cost or even economic cost, we take care of it. There are a number of stories in this group. People are getting mentorship, people are able to connect with other people for social reasons, for jobs, even people who want to come to Melbourne for studies and they are saying, doing some due diligence for these universities, quality and all those things. And they get information from them, from the real people.
And also the accommodation for students who are coming from India.
Exactly.
Because usually they can't pay huge rents at the first place. They usually want to stay with a group who can so that they can divide their rents. And you don't really see on other websites because they usually have a tendency to stay with their own people so that they can communicate well and all that stuff. So Indians in Melbourne is the group which actually provides the platform for those people to look for accommodation or jobs. So if somebody has got sick, their family member has been admitted in a hospital, the cost of paying those medical expenses have become too high that they have to start going for the funding. And they usually go, those fundings via group because obviously we have 90% people. If somebody sees those funding, they start, give those helping, by sharing their money or something like that. So this has happened a lot in last 2 years. And even when I ever try to post such information, some members tells me, Dinesh, this is not a legitimate way to go for funding. They should have gone to the government first and government should have helped them. Then they should ask for the community to help them. I understand that and they do have a point, but if government is going to take most time, how are you going to tackle the situation? But we as a community can help those people. Even if we contribute $1, let's say, 90,000 people, $1, $90,000 is much more money for any family to do that.
I urge you through your platform, if you have ever been helped to this group, and I'm sure there are many other people who have got it, tell your stories. Because often people are good in sharing about the hardships they're going through, but not necessarily the good things. We have to bring the good stories out there to community. I think over the years, we have now grown to one of the largest, if not the largest, Indian group on Facebook as of today. And there's a lot of other groups which are also coming along. I know there are other groups with the same name with a different keyword next to it, and all those things happen all the time. I always try to think from an end user perspective. It's a good thing. I don't see them as a competition necessarily. These are other avenues where people can get more engagement from, and they get to address their problems and issues, whether it be from our group or somebody else's group. I think one of the most critical points which I want to point out here, we're not running an enterprise. This is not for profit group per se.
It's profit for the community, not for us, but the way people see it, it depends on them.
And this is where I think other groups might be failing to understand that the way we measure our success is by the quality of engagement. And in 5 years, we would love to be, again, not for profit, but at the same time be one of the greatest platforms in the entire Australia for people to come and engage with other Indians and achieve their motives. I don't specifically count my success or my future aspirations by numbers. Numbers are not relevant. It's the engagement. That's what really matters.
Yeah. The most important part is we tell people it's Indians in Melbourne, but I'm seeing in next 5 years it will be people who are not only are Indian but also interested in Indian events. So we probably gonna open doors not only for Indian community, but maybe people who are interested in Indian types of event happening in Melbourne. So even if people coming from different communities would like to be part of our group, they can still be a part of group with the question that we have already set at the first stage, and make sure they follow the principles that we have set at the group description. Indian community has grown a lot globally. We definitely want to touch the other areas as well, and that's going to be our success story if it happens in the next 5 years.
We are the team behind Indians in Melbourne.